If you're good, you have to show up and show out. Which I have done multiple times. Don't believe me?
What's up, guys? So Chance Wilkins has been at it again. Old Cyrax is talking about having record labels and holding records and having all this stuff that he didn't actually have in the first place. You're gonna be seeing him talk about having records in like video games and stuff. Like he holds a world record in X video game or Y video game, whatever video game he's talking about. He says that he's an expert in and that he earned his place. He earned his place. And that if you disagree with that, you're just a faker. You're just trying to mod your game to cheat. And he's going to be talking about modders a lot and people who cheat in video games and people who try to fake speedruns, you know. There's speedrunning communities out there in which, you know, obviously people play the game to try and beat it as fast as they can. And usually they'll include exploits or glitches in the game. However, cheating is never allowed in any circumstance of a speedrun. And Chance is very much upset that people would cheat in a speedrun. However, there is a flip side about this. Chance tried to mod his console way back when. If you remember, he was trying to mod his Xbox. So, if anything, he's the fake speedrunner here, because that would mean that he was going to start cheating and trying to mod his games to make himself an even better player artificially. You know, he didn't earn those skills to beat the game. He didn't really do anything substantial. He just cheated. I mean, it's not the first time we've seen him cheat, but man, he's so confident in his own ability, but he has nothing to show for it, which is the craziest thing about Chance. He just doesn't know that he hasn't achieved any of these things. Or he does know, and he just wants to convince anybody. I don't know, but here he is.
So this video ain't gonna be very long. But I do have something that I want to speak on, which is the people out there on the internet using modifications and modifying games to get an edge to set a f***ing world record. That pisses me the f*** off. And you wanna know why? Because it makes those of us like myself who have actually, you know, set world records and have actually worked on stuff for this whole thing. It makes us look like, because that is sacred to motherfuckers like me.
That's right, it's sacred in Chance's eyes. Speedrunning is a sacred thing to him, along with Norse gods and Christianity. I mean, I got nothing against religion, don't get me wrong, I'm a religious person myself. However, Chance, you don't have a sacred bone in your body. You don't believe anything is sacred. You never have. I mean, I can't think of a single thing that Chance has really valued beyond maybe his Xbox and computer and gadgets. He doesn't even show that much concern for other people, and it's been very evident in the way that he treats Sally and other people on the internet. So, Chance, dude, you're talking about how this is sacred. Why don't you make other things sacred? Like, you could become a much more sociable person if you weren't doing all this stuff, you know, raging, losing your marbles, that sort of thing.
No, this is in like literally every genre, but it's more prevalent and more noticeable in the racing genre. Y'all motherfuckers out here modifying games like Need for Speed Underground 1, Underground 2, Pro Street, Most Wanted, all these amazing f***ing racing games. Y'all are sitting here, like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for modifying games, alright? I'm all for it. I'm, you know, always up for modifying games to have a good time, such as Assetto Corsa, CarX Drift Online. You know, all those games that you can do that. Games like BeamNG Drive, that's fine. If you're modifying a game to have a certain mode, like with Assetto Corsa and the drift mods and this and that and the other, that's fine. That's completely okay.
You know, what he is saying here is not wrong. It's not bad to modify video games. I mean, I do it all the time personally. But Chance, dude, you were trying to mod your Xbox, so that would disqualify you from all future speedrunning events. You would not be able to do any kind of speedrunning on that console. You wouldn't be able to do it in any kind of game, even if you wanted to. I mean, there's nothing that you could possibly do. You could maybe do your speedrunning on your PC, I think, but I believe that a modded console would make you disqualified. So whenever you say that you're working hard and that you're doing all this stuff to become a better gamer and better speedrunner, I just know that that's not true, because you were trying to mod your games, which logically would disqualify you. And besides, I don't know what you're getting upset about, because most speedrunners who end up being hacks, they usually get dispersed from that community. The speedrunners hate cheaters. They don't like it whenever you cheat in video games, whenever it comes to speedrunning. It's a very serious sport, and whenever you cheat, they hate that. So I don't know what Chance is going on about. He's acting like this is a big problem in the speedrunning community. I don't know if it is a big problem. I assume it is somewhat of a problem, but I wouldn't know. I'm not in that scene.
If you're good, you have to show up and show out, which I have done multiple times. Don't believe me? A former friend and a former racing partner. This motherfucker has watched me can do this firsthand. Yo, Sofa King, do you have Discord? Because right now my Facebook is disabled, so I'm not really able to do anything. So if you have a Discord, brother, hit me up, man.
Cyraxx claiming to be part of this Drift King community or whatever, this speedrunning thing, is just full of nonsense. It really is. He's not a speedrunner. He's not very good at video games. If you watch Chance, you know that he's terrible at these games. He's not good at them whatsoever. And for those non-gamers out there, you guys who have never picked up a controller before are better than Cyraxx. I guarantee it. You watching this video, you may have never picked up a controller or played a video game, but I guarantee it, you could defeat Cyraxx in any one of those racing games. You would be able to win first place and he'd win last. That's how bad he is at these video games. Also, I just love the little news he just dropped that his Facebook got locked up again. That's just great. His Facebook Messenger is no longer available.
I have worked my ass off for every world record that I have set. The same with guys like Sofa King. Sofa King here, I'm sure you set world records or know somebody, you know, whether it's personal or otherwise, within that community of gaming who has set world records. Now, the whole speedrunning thing, I'm still, learning my way around that. But for straight up world records, have y'all motherfuckers be out here modifying these racing games and trying to get an edge? Either do it right, or don't do it at all.
It's wild that he just says that he has several world records, or that he has multiple world records, whenever he doesn't have a single one. He talks about one specific world record that he claims that he got. It was in some game back in 2018, I think, or 2016, somewhere around that ballpark, where it was just some racing game. I'm not sure which one. You know, he has a lot of those games, and I don't really care to find out which one. It's just a game. And besides, he definitely did not achieve any world record or anything like that. And plus, on top of that, he says that he doesn't know that much about speedrunning, but a world record and a speedrun are pretty much, the same thing. Like, I don't get why he doesn't understand the concept of a speedrun. It should be very self-explanatory, it's a speed run through a game. You are speeding through a game as fast as you can to beat it, and that's the goal, to get the best time. So I don't know what he's confused about.
I set the world record for the docks. For the docks drift track, for the dockyard, on Assoluto Racing back in 2016, and I held that for 2.5 years. Top of the leaderboard for 2.5 years. Grid 2019, the main course that I ran, that y'all watched me run back in the day, yeah, I held that record for over 3.5 months. I studied those that had actually set the record. I sat there, I watched, I studied, and I practiced. That's how you're supposed to set a record. That's how you get good.
So Cyrax is claiming that he studied these record holders and studied the gameplay of other people in order to get this world record. But dude, where are the receipts for that? Do you have like a screenshot at least of like the website back in 2016? I feel like you would screenshot something like that, or have some kind of paper maybe? I don't know, something to prove that you made this record. A recording even would be the ultimate proof. And Chance, dude, what are you talking about? You never held these records. I mean, I feel like if you did, you'd be able to show it off again. I mean, even if you aren't number 1, you could be in the top 10 if you were able to get number 1 at any point. I feel like you'd be able to at least get somewhere in the top 100, but it's also just a bunch of farce. It's guaranteed to not be true. Chance has always shown that he's not a good gamer. I've seen him race, and the only ways he can win a race is if he cheats or his opponent gets disqualified and he wins by default, which has happened before, and he claimed that as an ultimate victory. He thinks winning by default is like winning with ultimate skill. But beyond record holding and speed running, Chance is very much upset at Disturbed, this band. I don't know much about Disturbed, but he's very upset with the singer, in which the singer made some controversial signatures about a global conflict that I'm not going to get into in this video. I'm just going to let you guys assume what it is if you haven't seen it, but if you have seen it, then you know what exactly I'm talking about whenever I say global conflicts. It's quite the thing, but Chance has something to say about it.
The lead vocalist of one of my favorite bands, Disturbed, did something that I cannot condone, that I am very disappointed and very pissed off about. This man literally signed that in Palestine. And to the lead vocalist of Disturbed, David Draymond, what do you think in doing that? Like, why would you sign off on that you knew were gonna people? Like, did you not know they were gonna do that or something, man? Like, what the like, don't get me wrong. I get if you didn't know. I get that if you didn't know that, you know, they were gonna do that, but the fact that you did that, and then that they did that, makes you look like a fucking hypocrite.
Now, I'm gonna cut out a good portion of this little stream because it's just him calling this guy a hypocrite, and it's just not super duper interesting. He brings up some song, I don't know how it's relevant, but Chance believes it is, and he's talking about this global conflict, acting like he really cares about it a whole lot. And, you know, you can be passionate about some things that are going on in the world. I'm not saying you can't. But with Chance, he doesn't really understand anything about it. I don't think he knows much of anything about the world. He probably couldn't even point at the map and spot Israel or Palestine or even Europe. I don't even know if he could do that. Does he know basic geography? I doubt it. I believe he's just trying to virtue signal at this point. I think that's the only reason he's bringing this whole thing up.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for defending yourself, and I understand your heritage. I understand why you felt the need to show support to Israel. And I get that you might not have known that they were going to do what they did, but guess what? They did. And you know what's even worse? Now, because of what you did, I can no longer listen to your band's music. And I used to be the biggest supporter of Disturbed. I've been to several shows. I've seen all the music videos. I've listened to every album. I own every album, both physical and digital. I've been to several of your guys' shows.
This whole spiel about him being the biggest fan is just laughable because I don't think he's actually been to any of their shows, and just because you own a bunch of physical stuff that they had, or even digital stuff, that doesn't mean that you're this huge asset and important person. You're not a VIP, Chance. I mean, you're one of their fans, you're one of their consumers, but that's as deep as the relationship goes. You're not like a manager, you're not an investor of any kind. No, you're just a fan, and that's it. And he's treating it like this big, huge thing, like this is gonna be a major loss for them. It sort of reminds me of when Christian was telling Miyamoto at Nintendo that him and his parents bought so many Nintendo consoles and stuff that they should get privileges and perks. It's just ridiculous.
For your people, for the Jewish community, but it was also an anthem for my people. That was our anthem. And by you doing what you did, you just threw all that out the window. You're a hypocrite. Your music was an anthem for everyone like myself. What, you trying to cover up what was going on? Is that what it is? Were you trying to cover up? It didn't work. And trust me when I say, your fan base knows what the you did was wrong. Like I said, you can ask my little brother, Old 45. You can ask him. I was one of the biggest Disturbed listeners ever. Like I said, I own every single album, both digital and physical. Seen a good majority of your guys' shows from here in the US, especially the ones that y'all did here in Ohio. I used to listen to your music daily, but now I can't even do that.
So Cyrax is talking about how this is an anthem. This is an anthem for our people. It's not just your anthem for Jewish people. No, it's ours too, as Disturbed fans. And, you know, with art and music, there's a lot of interpretation that can come with that. I'm not gonna delve any deeper than what I just stated. If there is interpretation of it being an anthem for Jewish people, or all people, then let it be. However, it is up to the artist on what it wants to be. You know, usually songs have a theme, songs have whatever the artist wants it to have. And if that's the theme, if that's a message, then so be it, Chance. You can't tell this guy how to write music any more than he can tell you how to write music. You know, independent thought and intellectual property is a thing. However, you can have your opinion about whatever art you're talking about. I'm not sure exactly what song or whatever he's talking about, but Chance is probably just mouthing off, trying to get those sympathy points, trying to guilt trip. It's a really bizarre thing he's doing here because he's trying to make this guy feel bad, but then he's also trying to convince him to turn the leaf to go on his side. I don't know, Chance is just being really hostile.
So I, Chance Wilkins, aka Cyrax, aka Shadowblade, will no longer be supporting the band Disturbed. I will no longer be listening to your guys' music. And I highly urge every Disturbed fan out there, do your research.
That's right, do your research. Do your research, he says, as he's not gonna do any research whatsoever. Chance, you're not gonna look up anything, you're not gonna look into this subject any further. He's probably never gonna bring this up ever again. It's likely gonna be in the lost remnants of his mind somewhere. Maybe he'll bring it up again in the faraway future. He has occasionally brought up this global conflict, but he usually brings it up every few months or so. Political with Cyrax doesn't come out very often. But with that out of the way, let me do my shoutouts. Now I'd like to shout out David Grunga, Stephen Thurman, Rax Labs Trademark, Croissant, Josh Babaker, Blues Nose Clues, Pug Clan of David, David and Fred Slap Fight, Lotus Man 17, Chris SH, Sean McClure, Six Cloak 9, Hello Panda, The Stream That Jake Built, Sauce, Murderous Mushroom, Saggy Raggy, Paul Islander, Rax Xanax, Bats 12, Danger Chris, Nico Suave, Mark Pena, Unknown Posters, Smifters, Nivik, Benjamin Sanborn, Only Wise Hermit, Gaming with Both Hands, Daniel Evans, Punky Squirrel 666, Joyful Danae, George's Woodshed, Christopher Zazel, Harry Genitals, Haley Cantaloupe Cakes, Jason Cruel, Delray, Tubby Thunder 43, Luar David Reverse, Jilly's Mom, Finn and Aaron, Joshua Roberts, Depressed Rabbit, Gunslinger Brett, Zell Champion of First Club, Bucky, Oversoul, Old Cars and Python Sarah, Dreadhead David 420, Ice Swallow, The Black Pearl, Edward and Hain, Nick Cliff, Atomic Renegade, Steve Scoopy Van, Curse Decals, World of Worlds, TJ Bender, James, Honda Civic, Tannis Finest, Roboto Sand, Bakano Sensei, Poofy Mooncakes, Mad 33s, and Dark Chocolate. Thank you guys for y'all's support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.